This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach. Mate, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sorry, I took you off guard by not going on like a run.
It's good, mate, yeah. It's good, mate. Another game coming off the weekend. You looking forward to it? Looking forward to coming down to St Mary's?
I'm very much looking forward to going with you, and it'll be a nice time. Hopefully watch a win. Get to watch a perpetuant man-child probably get sacked after throwing an absolute hissy fit the other day. I sent you that video, right? Everyone's probably seen the Nathan Jones video where, like, I remember Hassan Hootel getting mugged off, right, for crying when we beat Liverpool, which was actually more to do with him beating Jurgen Klopp, right? And I remember him getting mugged off. And then for some reason, like, Nathan Jones' passion's almost seen as like, all right, because it's like, oh, yeah, no, he really cares. I'm like, it doesn't feel like he really cares. It's the kind of feels like he's the kind of bloke you'd have a drink with. And then he gets a little bit rowdy. And then before you know it, he's like trying to fight the entire bar. And it's just like, man, just regulate yourself a little bit, my guy. But also, that's why I think maybe people love him, right? Is that, you know, he is very, very outspoken. He's a bit of a character. And I can't wait for us to do the season double over him.
Yeah, 100% for sure. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good game. It's nice coming into this game with some good form, right?
Yeah.
Like we're unbeaten in 4 at this point. It's all just coming up Saints at the moment, right? Like,
yeah, it's again, I think we've discussed it a couple of times before. It's just like the weird vibe of like, well, are we still trying to push for promotion? And then a lot of people, you know, we had responses like, you guys couldn't even beat Portsmouth. You aren't pushing for promotion. And then it actually kind of looks like we're now fighting for the playoffs, but the club and the ownership of the club don't really know if that's what's on the card. So they're now planning for us potentially to still be in the championship and potentially getting a playoff run. And there's lots of stuff going behind the scenes, and there's a lot of conversations, as you know, because you did an episode on it the other day, of contracts that are expiring and who you might renew and who we might bring in. And I feel like a lot of that has almost overshadowed the fact until we get to game day where, like, almost all of it's forgotten about instantly, which is, I think, the best thing about it. And because of that, I'm hoping it will be like a really nice vibe, and you know, it won't be a Southampton somehow losing like 4-0 to Charlton because we've, I don't know, down tools, decided to give Nathan Jones last roll of the dice. You know, that's kind of where I'm at. There you go. You got my rant today, mate, in a slightly different format.
it's good. You're right. It's going to be good. Charlton, like you say, also not in great form coming in, right? So they lost in the week. Also means they've had less time to prepare for the game than us. And then, loss, win, draw, win, loss before that. So just kind of, a bit all over the place. But after their really solid start to the season and climbing their way as high in the table as they did, sort of, lingering down and about in 18th now. It's not a million miles away from that drop zone, which is a scary prospect, right? Like,
for me, there's a couple of caveats there. So having seen what Bree has been like since we came back, we basically let them have what I would consider to be one of our best players for a good solid half a season. And, I think that they're probably potentially missing that influence. I think that they performed over their expectations early on in the season, and that's the only thing that's really given them a cushion. But the fact that they're not in the actual relegation zone currently already probably means they're doing better than we initially expected them to be, right? And, with Sheffield Wednesday basically confirmed taking up a place more than anything else, Leicester with a points deduction, I think they still got a decent chance. And although, we like to lament Nathan Jones, clearly, like, his galvanising effect must have done something at the beginning of the season at the very least. And, I joke about potentially him being fired. I don't really know what the Charlton fan base feel about him at the moment, but it's what it is. I just hope that if we can get a repeat performance of our last game against him, I'm not really that, bothered.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that makes it even more interesting, right? Like, like the fact that the score earlier in the season was as emphatic as it was is pretty crazy, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%. We had a
it
goal
was
from
a
a defender, striker, midfielders, attacking midfielders. We had a goal from everywhere. It was for us. It was that kind of. I remember going into that game feeling like, of course he's going to come and do and like beat us and then like get to kind of wave around, what he was doing. But that was in that sort of 5 game run that Honda got the job off the back of, right? So yeah, it was really, we're actually missing one of the goal scorers at this point, which is nuts when you think about it. Because obviously Armstrong's moved on to Wolves, but yeah, it's a very different headspace to be in coming up against them this time around. I think.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a very different game as well, though. Especially with them coming to our place, I think it's pretty clear to see if you talked about a Nathan Jones team coming to St Mary's that it's going to be organised, it's going to be defensive, it's going to be tough to break down. They're going to be looking to not fall victim to that same outcome again. So, and that's the sort of team we've struggled against sometimes to be as not as free flowing, right? So it's going to be an interesting challenge nonetheless.
I'd agree with that. I think we've got some. I think with obviously change of tactics, certain personnel coming through, a couple more options off the bench than we initially had previously, right? I think that we potentially got more to be a threat with what we have now than we probably did then. And I think that, you're right. They're not going to be as shell-shocked as they were when we came up against them last time. And they probably will play significantly more defensively. But we're going to run off of the back of, like momentum, good momentum as well. One of the best games we've ever seen, which wild. And then, a kind of all right FA Cup performance where we sure did get another FA Cup game. Everyone looking forward to going to Fulham.
Recently confirmed as at midday on a Sunday as well. So
which apparently is upset literally the entirety of the fan base, right? Like, no one seems to be happy about that.
From
picture.
A perspective that football should be played at 3:00 on a Saturday and not midday on a Sunday when you have to travel, it's kind of fair enough.
I agree.
It could have been worse. At least it's only Fulham. It's only up in London. It could have been a much less convenient away day. That's for sure. But
for sure. But yeah, we've obviously. So for me, yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I think we come in feeling a bit more positive. I think that ironically, the point that I made last time, which is, we got this little bit of point of positivity. This is when we bottle it. This would be a problem. I don't know how, like a draw really isn't kind of enough for where we want to be at the moment. If we get a win, kind of potentially, if results go our way, we could like get higher up the table. But a draw is just kind of, will just to continue to stagnate in the kind of area we are, which is around sort of 10th, 9th, 11th. So yeah, I think it's going to be an important game. But then again, we've kind of already established that every game up to the end of the season is important at this point, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I just wonder how much of it's going to be the game and how much of it's going to be other stuff surrounding it, right? that's kind of the stuff that that's kind of thing I'm interested in a little bit, probably more than I should be. That's my own fault. But yeah, I think we still don't have any player news because, of course, despite recording on a Thursday afternoon, we still haven't had a press conference, Greg, right? As far as I'm aware, which means that,
Honda's least favourite thing of the week. He likes to do it last before he goes home. It's fine. We're fine with it.
It's 100% like, rather than just get it either gets out of the way in like a Wednesday morning or it's going to be Friday afternoon, which makes our job slightly harder because we basically have to guess players off the basis of we think they're fit, often with a press conference or game having happened after a press conference from last time around. So yeah, I guess we'll get to that favourite bit that we all love talking about, Greg, that we can kind of do a little bit more of now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Talk about team lineups, right?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's going to be an interesting team sheet when it comes out because talked earlier in the week about your balance and you're taking your viewpoints back. And when you take that step back, you realise we also have a game Tuesday night next week, right, against QPR. It's another 3-game in 7-day period coming up. So it'll be interesting to see how much some of the players that were rotated into the squad in the FA Cup game have sort of set their mark, right, and set the standards as to whether they're going to be in. I don't know if any of them have really quite done enough to misplace anyone who isn't out for any reason other than injury, but I don't know. I mean, all being well, we've heard obviously Wellington and Bree both being looked at, right? And Flynn, was it, who was also being touted about in the post-match stuff from the FA Cup, that he'd been, effectively dosing up on painkillers to be in a position to play. So
I don't know if the thing is I don't know how much of the conversation around everybody being on painkillers and stuff is to do with you setting the expectation that it's going to be an incredibly rotated side for the FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
And also just giving all of them a break, because it wouldn't surprise me that some of them are taking painkillers with, again, having 3 games in a week. Some of them on their way back from injury. Some of them still trying to build fitness from a return from injury beforehand as well. So yeah, I think you're right. This one it's not as clear cut as it would have been, right? Whereas previously we were quite sort of like, oh well, it's going to be this person, this person, this person, and then we'd end up essentially filling that 10 minutes with, well, what about this person? Which is ironic, because a lot of the time we would discuss what about the idea of a Dozy coming on, and a Dozy was a person who did pretty well, in the FA Cup, did pretty well in the game that he's appeared beforehand. Very surprised that for the amount of time he's been out, how well he's played since coming back into the side. And obviously his brother scored yesterday for Wolves, which was a bit weird to continue the bottle job that is Arsenal. But yeah, so I think that there is going to be ample opportunity for people to step in. And you're right, there might not be an opportunity for people to displace the Cienzas or whatever. But of all of the sort of like the front line we have, there's a lot more options. And that's why I think that we'll actually probably do a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how do you see it lining up then? Back to the game before, back line of Harwood, Bellis, Stevens, Bree, and Wellington.
I think if Stevens is fit, yeah. I think if Wellington was one of the ones that had an actual knock, and if he does, I wouldn't be surprised if Manning steps in. But that is the group I'd prefer, if I'm totally honest. But I wouldn't be surprised. I think, they were talking about managing Stevens a little bit, right? And he also was struggling a little bit. But I would have, Bree, Taylor Harbour-Bellis. Would it be weird that Bree's going to play against Charlton? Yeah, a little bit, I guess. It would be interesting
maybe
to see
that's
the dynamic
an additional motivating factor, perhaps. I mean, yeah, there's definitely room for some needle there, which will be interesting.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if not Stevens alongside Taylor Harbour-Bellis, maybe Quasi did all right. He had some struggles, but I think it was probably just being out of the flow for a really long time, and also just in a team that I think a lot of them struggled, because obviously a lot of them hadn't played and unfamiliar. What's the word, like cohesion, chemistry, all those buzzwords we usually use when people basically just don't know what their mates are doing because they haven't played football with them in ages.
It's important to gel.
That's the one.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the back four picks itself. Moving up the field, these sort of 2 holding midfielder roles that we've been playing with and looking at, I really feel confident that any of the 4 names that are likely to fill that position would be absolutely fine, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Bragg with an excellent performance in the Cup last week. Flynn really coming into his own again. We know how important of a good player he can be in this league. Shea Charles, since he's come back, looking really bright and really good. And Yander didn't, have his best game in the first half against Leicester last time we saw him, but having had time off to recover, I mean, really, I think that's the first drop in form we've seen from him since he started making his way into the first team. So we'd be happy with any combination of that, right?
Pretty much. Like, again, whoever really plays, like, we keep forgetting Romeu's there as well. He had some minutes. He put some good blocks in. We're rather mopped up in the midfield than having to worry about putting blocks in. But, road back to fitness is kind of weird that that's even an option. I very much doubt we'll probably see him on the bench. Maybe we'll see him midweek, who knows. But, yeah, I think the fact that you've got Bragg, Downs, Shea and Yander all as potential choices for that midfield is like, it's the one position I'm never really worried about. And it's always one of the positions that I'm always really weirded out by the fact that whenever we get to a transfer window, we are always seemingly linked with another midfielder and never ever any players for positions we actually need. So that's always fun.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's nice to be confident in that depth though, right? And and it's good. It's a good position to be in. And yeah, any combination of that, I think I'm happy. I think possibly we see Bragg and Downs. Yeah, interesting. I think that, perhaps part of Yander's performance will sort of show through. And maybe he won't immediately make it back in. But like I say, with a week rest and time to get back into that headspace, maybe he just slots back in and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. I don't really mind either way, if I'm totally honest. As I said, it's just a position that I don't have much of a concern about anymore. And it's a position where pretty much any of those players I think can step up and not just be disrespectful to Charlton, but also like against Charlton, probably not really worried who starts, so maybe it would be a good run out for Bragg.
Then moving forward even further, I guess the collectively the front four. This is, I guess, where it gets a bit more interesting. Presumably, Cienza, if fit, starts on the left.
Yep.
With at least the comfortable option of coming off for a dozy later in the game, you would think.
Yep, probably.
Ross Stewart to start up front because I'd
imagine he'd start with him. Yeah. I mean, again, like you got it's the combination of you got to feel for Archer and also be annoyed that he's not making the impact that he wants. But I just think that considering it's the league and we really care and we want to get those points on the board, and I don't really think they're going to start him in a 10 again anytime soon. No. So yeah,
Azaz slotting in behind him kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that could also make sense. I mean, like he had a cameo during the FA Cup, one of the first team players that did actually get on the pitch at the time. Yeah, as long as he's actually firing, he scored twice against them last time round. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised put him in against the team that he's actually scored against. Maybe that will grow the confidence a little bit. But I like the fact that we do have options if he decides to throw a bit of a stinker.
Azaz for me is one of the players who I actually think will benefit from playing against a team with, well, for lack of a better term, playing with like a low block, right? Because his game is or the best part of his game is finding those gaps and finding those passes. So, when you're looking and working hard to break down a team in that way, what he offers is much more suited to that, I think, than sometimes trying to beat a high press when that's just not necessarily his strength. So it's probably why he did quite so well against them last time. When we think back. So that'd be good. And then on the right-hand side, I guess the most interesting part of the front line, Fellows obviously getting taken off at half-time against Leicester, not having a great, probably few games, to be honest, I would say. He's not quite been the spark that we've known him to be. Whether that's just fatigue from the playing as many minutes as he has up to that point, because it was a lot, or what, who knows, but do you think he comes back in, or has Matchday done enough to stake his claim on that right-hand side, or
I think someone else? I think he has, and I think maybe it is just time to give Fellows a bit of a rest. Right, there's been a lot of pressure on him since he came in, and rightly he's putting a couple of good assists and stuff. I think hasn't quite got his goal yet, obviously, because you keep predicting he's going to score. But yeah, like Matchay's done really, really well. I think that if he deserves a shot at it. I think we said that we saw that early season, and kind of were a little bit bamboozled that he just didn't really appear under Will Still at all, despite showing up really good in the preseason. And I think it's taken a little bit of time, but I think he's shown why he's got into the team now. And I think that having an option of a fit Fellows off the bench to kind of storm into the latter half would probably actually be, in my opinion, more terrifying to come up against than, having to deal with what he would offer coming on at the start, because I feel like, kind of showed at Leicester that he's feeling that he's being a bit leggy.
Yeah. Coming on against tired legs for a player like that who likes to run at people, always going to be a bit of an advantage as well. So
just give something extra.
Again, though, genuinely feel that in that position, I'd be happy with either choice, which is
strange
great.
To say.
Just fantastic.
Do we reckon Jay gets a run out anytime soon anymore, or now that kind of Adozie's coming on the left, and it kind of seems like I don't want him to entirely become the forgotten man, but as we said, like, I think it's just the pecking order he is lower down it. It's got to be frustrating a little bit, though.
I think we'll still see Jay utilised. I think that he's been used in that position to come on in place of Leo because he's another player that likes to dribble and try and take players on, albeit in a completely different way than Leo, if we're sort of looking at it analytically. But I think his position is much more suited to that of a number 10. So we could see him rotated in for Azaz as a different option.
I think that'll probably be better as well, right? Actually give him an opportunity to thrive in the position that he's probably going to be better at playing in.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, with the Matchday and Fellows on the right, we've also seen Jay put out on that side to do a job, and a depth of 2 is not really a depth either. So
no, that's also.
I think there's going to be opportunities for Jay in this season, and hopefully, like you say, opportunities that would just give him the opportunity to shine a little bit more than he has been, because it's really hard to be the player replacing the player on the pitch who's dragging everybody else up the pitch, as Leo so often is for us, right? Like, that's not easy shoes to fill. So it'll be good for him to get on in different areas and sort of make that. But that's one of his strengths as well, is that he's a very useful utility player in that sort of attacking quarter on any of the positions you want to put him, really. So, yeah, there'll be time for him.
Nice.
And that's it. That's the full 11, right? I mean, we can predict the substitutes as well, right? Probably see Adozie come on. Probably see Laren come on.
Probably. Yeah. And either Fellows or Latsky, depending on who.
Yeah.
Who's about at that time.
And probably one of the midfielders out for one of the other midfielders, right? Like, probably someone like Yander coming off and Charles coming on, or vice versa. So
perfect.
Yeah.
We got this thing down, mate. We should just sit in the dugout.
Nailed it.
Thanks. I'm all right.
Right, let's move on. Let's have a little look at what the AI thinks. We love to.
You're ruining my life for this drivel.
Look, I've got to be honest, mate. It's not summarising a great deal. It's
perfect.
I mean,
it doesn't have as many historical stats to go off, to be fair.
Historically speaking, we've played Charlton 8 times in the data it has available. 4 wins, 3 draws, and only 1 loss. So
one of those is in the Johnston's Paint Trophy, mate. Like, it doesn't count.
Yeah, look, obviously beat them 5-1 in November, and actually the game before that, the last time we played them, that it's got available is 2011. So, I mean, what history can you really draw from it to summarise? But based off the form, it is suggesting both teams to score, Southampton to win is the bet. So, yeah, I think that that's probably fair. I don't know. I'd probably actually back us to keep a clean sheet. So
I'm kind of in the same boat, which is Shows you how positive we're being recently.
Yeah, ready for it all to come crashing down again. That's how it works. It's fine.
Yeah,
Right, mate.
it's
As
a
always,
cycle.
then let's throw you under the bus. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? How do you
Shocker.
see it playing out?
3-0. Azaz, Larin, Stewart, all a goal apiece. Azaz because he scored against them previously. Larin because I'd love him to get another one, especially up Northern. Second half substitute appearance. And Stewart because we need to keep, he needs to keep proving he wants another contract, right? He's already come out in the media and been like, yeah, I'd love to stay here. So it's like, okay, back that up, bro.
Yeah, that's
just
what we want.
Some more goals, and then people will start to have their minds changed. Yeah. And then maybe, staple your hamstrings together a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, look, we talk about motivating factors and mentalities a lot, and if that's an additional one, great.
Fine by me.
Bring it on. 4-1.
Sure, Greg.
Look, I think that it might be 0-0 at half time.
Interesting. And what you think they'll go 1-up and then we'll batter them, or what?
I think that we will score twice. But I kind of think that once we score, the floodgates might open a little bit.
Yeah.
And lead to 4.
Because of that way they'll have to do something. So.
I've got a horrible feeling that we've seen in lots of games recently for Peretz that he's prone to
got a Boric-esque mistake in him,
questionable decision, and it just kind of feels like it's coming where one of them is going to actually result in something bad. So that's what I see.
It's not ideal, is it?
4-1, Nathan Jones crying at full time and getting sacked at St Mary's for the second time in his career is just seems right, seems fitting, seems like how it's going to go.
Let's see if he gets red carded. That's where I'm at. I feel like it's going to be a bit more of a hostile environment coming to our place slightly.
Yeah, look,
that is usually a thing I would say massively about St Mary's. However, when it comes to don't ever underestimate our hatred of ex-managers that we feel like screwed us over. Even if I have alluded to in past episodes that I feel like maybe he wasn't given any freedom whatsoever, and maybe by the time he realised that he needed to do his job his way, it was far too late.
Look, he didn't help himself in that scenario, and
let's just say that our brand does not match up with his, right?
And look, in the reverse fixture, it was put on record that some of the abuse he took is going to be what it's going to be. He is not the most level-headed of characters in that situation, so it could be combustible. You're right.
Maybe it won't be. Maybe he'll turn up, know he's going to get wound up, keep himself calm, go off normally, and give no crazy post-match interview about how it's really unfair that we are a team with so much means and so much better, and he's had to fight for his right to party. Whereas we apparently have just been sat on our millions and millions of pounds that clearly every single ownership group has spent on loads of players, right? Because
mate, look, a pig just flew by out the window there. Crazy. Right, that is all we have got time for today. So thank you everyone for listening, and as always, Zach, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, mate.
Let us know in the comments on the socials your score predictions. How you think it's going to play out? How many are we going to put past Nathan Jones's Charlton? Let us know. We are Daily Saints Pod everywhere and on everything. On X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Hit us up. Let us know. We love hearing from you. And while you're there, why not drop a like and subscribe? It goes so far to helping us out, and we love seeing all of your interactions. However it plays out at the weekend, we will be back to talk about it, as always. But until then, Saints fans, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you then. And come on, you Saints!
Woo! This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.